We are headed into the most wonderful time of year. The weather is warm, but the breezes are cool and everything is happy. So it is almost October, which means it's time for my September wrap up and find out how many books that I read in my stockpile. The first book I started in August, but it took me nearly an entire month to read it, so I didn't finish it until September, around the first week of September. And that is Midnight Sun by Stephenie Meyer. I think by now you probably know the story to this one if you ever read or watched Twilight, because it's the exact same story, but from Edward's perspective instead of Bella's. It was not my favorite. I think I rated this one about 2.5, but I rounded it up to 3 over on Goodreads. I think my feelings on it are basically everyone else's feelings on it, is that I enjoyed the parts that were new. I liked learning more about the Cullens' history and Edward's history and all of that, but when it came down to the actual story that we all know, I despised it and Edward because he was so obnoxious. You know, this book is nearly 700 pages, and 300 to 400 pages of that was basically Edward saying the same thing over and over and over again. I love her, but I'm bad. So that part, not so enjoyable, but there were snippets in there that I did enjoy, which is why it got rounded up to a 3 rather than being a 2 or below. So when I say that I buy books and then never read them, what I mean is that I buy books and then never read them. Case in point is Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. I bought this book the year the movie came out. The movie came out in 2010. This book, this very copy, has been sitting on my shelf, unread, for an entire decade. Now, I gave this one a 1 star, and that's because I DNF'd it. No, it was a big ol' no from me. I read maybe half of it, a little over, well, not a little over, almost 200 pages of it, but perhaps I would have enjoyed it much more if I had read it when I first bought it, when I was 10 years younger, but not so much now. There were a couple of whole chapters that delved into her views of mental health and getting help and all of that I absolutely did not agree with, and so I could not go on with it. So it was a wasted 10 years on my shelf, but I read it and now it's done, and that's one less book. Alright, I think I forgot to tell you the actual plot of this book or what it was about. Eat, Pray, Love is a nonfiction, so it follows the life of Elizabeth Gilbert, where she was very unhappy in her life, in her marriage, and so she was going through a pretty nasty divorce along with another relationship that she was into outside of her marriage. And basically she takes an entire year off of life and she travels the world. So she goes to 3 different countries and she spends 4 months in each of them. The first 4 months she spends in Italy pursuing the pleasure side of life, and then second 4 months she spends in an ashram in India learning how to pray. And then finally, which is the part I never got to, she spends 4 months in Indonesia and in Bali with a medicine man to apparently learn how to love, since that's the last thing on this list. But again, I didn't finish it, so I do like the movie a lot more than this. Julia Roberts. Plus, it didn't seem quite as whiny, and as far as I remember, I don't remember them talking about her stance on mental health, but it's been a while. They may have. I just don't remember. But just no from me. A big no. And finally, we have the last book that I finished in the month of September. And luckily, it was the saving grace of the month. This is the one book that I thoroughly enjoyed. And that is Cersei by Madeline Miller. This one gets a big ol' 5 out of 5 stars from me. I loved this book. It is a book that follows, there's not too much of a plot line. It's mostly a character-driven book. It follows Cersei, who is a Titan goddess, throughout her many thousands of years worth of life, as she is immortal. She doesn't have any goddess-type powers, but she does learn that she is a witch. So what ultimately drew me in and made me love it so much is that it's basically a true introvert's dream to be exiled to an island of your very own. You are the only one on there. You have wolves and lions that are tame, and they sleep at your feet in front of your fireplace with you every night. And you have all of this land and beauty and power, and it's just a dream, for sure. For me, anyway. Who doesn't want to have pet lions and wolves and the power to turn nasty, evil men into actual pigs? So I read I finished a total of 3 books in the month of September. All of these books were books that were on my shelves already, so books that I owned, which means I successfully panned 3 books. So we are now down to 25 books in my collection. So yay! Thank you so much for being here, and I hope that means I will see you soon.